Bankruptcy can happen to anyone at any point in their life, so it's good to know what your options are if you do find yourself in that position. We have Jeremy and Rebecca here today, attorneys at USA Debt Bankruptcy Attorneys. They're here to tell us more about what bankruptcy actually is and what you need to know if you decide to file. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, I want to start with you because we all hear the word bankruptcy, but what exactly does that mean?
Bankruptcy are laws under the federal government that allow you to get rid of certain debts and restructure. And there's a variety of different options under the bankruptcy code, but it really is for people that need debt relief.
Yeah, so I think there are probably families out there, individuals that are contemplating, is this a good course of action for me, or can I get through this? It's kind of a hard decision, so today we're going to talk about how people can know if this is a good time for them to file. So, Rebecca, when should people file?
Usually it's when creditors are starting to do those more aggressive collection activities. You definitely want to try to seek out and get help. These would include when creditors are filing lawsuits against you. Once a creditor does get a judgment, they can do those more aggressive collection activities such as garnish your wages, seize your assets, or seize your bank accounts. Also, if you're behind on your home and a foreclosure proceeding is started, you want to seek help because we can stop that proceeding from going forward and implementing a plan to keep your home. Also, if you're just having overwhelming debts, you're struggling to meet your living expense needs, and you can't pay your debts, you want to seek professional help, and we can help people out decide what the best course of action is going forward.
Yeah, we keep hearing about Chapter 7 straight or liquidation bankruptcy. What is that?
So a Chapter 7 bankruptcy is generally for people that don't have the ability to pay back any of their debt. You generally can keep your house and your car. A lot of people are able to keep those items still. They may have to sign some paperwork to be responsible for those debts going forward, but they're allowed to get rid of medical debts, credit cards, repossession deficiencies. There's a variety of different debts that you might be able to get rid of and basically be able to walk away from it. Taking a short hit to your credit, but you're able to rebuild and move on with your life. So it's kind of gives you a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I think there's a stigma that happens with families and people who do file for bankruptcy or Chapter 7, but this is something that can happen very quickly. It can happen to anyone. Have you seen that's been the case?
Truly it has. Definitely for people who have had layoffs or had to be off work due to medical leave, or even if they're divorce proceedings, sometimes that will limit someone's income and they'll have to file bankruptcy because of the loss of income.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about Chapter 13. That's a lot different than Chapter 7.
Chapter 13 generally is for individuals who have regular and consistent income and are able to meet their living expense needs, but maybe they're struggling to pay on their debts. They're not able to pay what the creditors want them to pay, so we can implement a repayment plan that allows them to pay those particular creditors' medical bills, credit cards, personal loans at a percentage or a rate that they can afford. Again, the payments are based on their ability. Also, if someone's facing foreclosure, again, the repayment plan is a great vehicle to catch up those mortgage arrears just so that individual can keep their home, or if they're maybe facing repossession on their vehicle, we can implement a repayment plan so they're able to retain that vehicle. Also, if someone has income tax debt, Chapter 13 is a great way to pay that tax debt because the penalties and interest does not accrue during that repayment plan.
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about the taxes? So a lot of people think, okay, how is this going to negatively affect my credit score even? Like, how does that work with Chapter 7?
Well, in Chapter 7, it does take an initial hit on the credit, but most times people are in such dire need that their credit is already kind of in a place where they don't want to be. So the debt-to-income ratio is corrected right away, and usually people can rebuild their credit usually between 2 to 3 years if they do everything correctly after they file. Keep their bills paid on time, maybe get a small credit card, use it, and pay it every single month.
And I think it's important to consider, obviously a credit score is helpful in a lot of ways, but if you don't have, if you have too much debt, you're not going to be able to get finance for things as well anyways. So, bankruptcy would allow you to get rid of, some of that debt so you can rebuild, so potentially you could get into a home and things like that maybe you couldn't because you had old credit card debt or something that's holding you back from that.
Okay, so what are some things that people need to know, the do's and the don'ts?
So generally speaking, you can run into some problems if you pay back relatives right before filing bankruptcy. Potentially, you have to be truthful with all your debt. You have to put all that information out there. But relatives is one of the spots we run into problems. Not paying, keeping up on some of their debts as far as car loans, house loans, because you have to keep up on those things if you want to keep those things through a bankruptcy. So.
Yeah, so there, I think people that are trying to navigate this, there's so many questions, and you have obviously a lot of those answers. And so if people are watching and they think, okay, how can I take that first step? How can I get more information? How do they get a hold of you?
They can go to our website, www.usadebt.com, or they can contact our office. We do offer initial free half-an-hour consultation. We have also many locations across West Michigan, so we're available to take their call and answer any general questions over the phone if they're not able to come into the office as well.
Yeah, and when a family or an individual is thinking about claiming or filing for bankruptcy, it can be a little bit devastating for people, and so it's nice to know that your team is there every step of the way. How easy is it to take these steps and to have that guidance?
I think, I don't want to make it out like bankruptcy is easy. There's obviously a process, and having an attorney is really helpful to get you through that process, but we specialize in it so we can make it as easy and seamless for people that are going through this difficult time in their life, because as you mentioned, there's a lot of societal concerns and things like that on people's ends in this, but we try to make it as simple as possible for them within the confines of what the law allows.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they do have so many questions, just simply Googling probably is not maybe the best course of action every time. There's a lot of information out there. You want to make sure that you're getting the correct information. So working with someone like you and your team is really the correct course of action there.
And part of the issue is, and obviously with Google's nationwide, and the bankruptcy laws are federal laws, but there's some uniqueness to each state and what the options might be for somebody. So you might get misinformation indirectly because you're looking at the wrong state or something along those lines. So
yeah, you want to make sure that you've got all of that information to make the correct decision for you and your family. Thank you so much. Great information.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.